Okay, so I booted up Tekken or whatever. Ignore the fact the game just disappeared from the screen on the overlay or whatever. But let's go to practice mode. So
welcome to the King of Iron.
I can kind of set up what I'm about to talk about.
Bob.
So I'm a Fang and Bob main in this game, but I feel like Kazuya would be one of the easiest characters. Characters to demonstrate this to start with, because for Tekken specifically, like I feel like this is basically the best example you can get. I got a hitbox like recently or whatever, but you know, I'm on stick for this because I'm not exactly used to the hitbox. So you see that I can move, like, you know, without even having to really think about it or anything like that. Like, I'm not really concerned with, you know, dropping inputs or anything. If you play this game long enough and you practice your movement, you know, you can do all that. But that's not what we're here for today. So, what was the reset button again? Okay, that was the reset button. So, in Tekken, right? In Tekken, you have a lot of different movement tools, and also there's a 3D game. So, for example, you can sidestep, like you can move in a three-dimensional way to escape a lot of situations, right? So, if I go here and I go to let's say I go to repeat action. We can find Kazuya's hell sweep. We can find his hell sweep in the move list, right? We can find his hell sweep. So let's say we're gonna have him do that, and we're gonna have him do his forward 3. I would input it manually, but like this'll probably just be easier. So that's forward 3. And let's just have those two right there, right? So, now watch this. Now you see that? That's the range that these two moves will hit you in at round start, right? So if we go right here, you see how that hit me, correct? You see how that hit me, right? Now, let me restart it again, right? Now I'm gonna play it. Now watch this. That's avoided already. That is already a situation that I've avoided. Let's say like I'm just doing a small punch. That's a situation I managed to avoid, right? Like from round start positioning. From round start positioning, as you can see, if you simply do a single backdash or what have you do a simple backdash like that, you've already avoided the situation. How many backdashes do I actually need to do to fully avoid it? That's two Korean backdashes. That's about 2 Korean backdashes, right? That's about 2 of them. So say I like get my little punish or whatever. That's already avoided right there. Off of that situation. Now, let's stop it and restart it again. Let's stop it and restart it again. Now, what can you describe this as when it comes to Kazuya's hell sweep mix up at round start? Because look, we know from standing that he cannot hit me, you know, with that situation. If I restart it, what range we're at? We're at about range 2, right? We're at about range 2. That's the range that this mix-up is effective within, right? You can get your little punish or, you know, what have you. You can get your punish or what have you. in that situation, correct? So, now, think about this for a second. I've just proven to you, whoever is watching this video, that at round start positioning, so around here, Kazuya's sweep can hit you, correct? Now let's restart it. Wait, let's restart it until we get the sweep. I did one backdash, and the sweep was now avoided, correct? Let's say I'm right here, he can't hit me. I can dash up in his face, now I can move back again. You see that? But look, did you see that? The forward 3 has a little more range than the low. The forward 3 has a little more range than the low. Did you see how the low was avoided from that position, but the forward 3, I was forced to block it. This is an extremely fundamental concept in Tekken, okay? If you watch Knee or like older players play this game and you watch them play like Tag 2, there will be situations where it's like they're literally just doing this to avoid even being in the situation because they notice the low has less range than the mid in a lot of situations, right? That's all well and good, but how is this concept going to apply to multiple fighting games? Well, let me try and break it down for you, okay? So think about this for a second. I'm aware that at round start positioning, my opponent's hell sweep can hit me. I'm aware that hell sweep can hit me. Correct? So, what options do I have to beat this hell sweep hit me? What options do I have? I can backdash, so I don't have to deal with the mix-up. Correct? But you know, when you're playing this game, you're going to be fighting a lot of Mishimas that you will fight a lot of Mishimas that are going to do this to you. They're going to sit here and do this to you. They're going to wave dash in your face because they're not worried about all that. They're going to wave dash in your face. Correct? This is what I call layer 1. This is layer 1. This situation right here is layer 1. Layer 1 is, okay, what are my options? What are my options, spacing wise, to put myself in a safer situation? That's layer 1. And this game at round start against Kazuya is probably, you know, Korean backdash. Now look, there's the thing. This is layer 2. What are my opponent's options? What are my opponent's options? Correct? What are my opponent's options to put themselves in a better situation? Or you can actually reverse the layers if need be, depending on if you're on offense or defense. But this is the thing. I'm at layer 1 currently. Let's say it's round start. I'm at this is how I be thinking about things. I'm at layer 1 currently, okay? Let's say that I'm you know, looking at it defensively. Then my layer 1 is, what are my opponent's options? Correct? Okay. My layer 2 is, what can I do to counter my opponent's options? So I can backdash. I can, you know, hard call it out with blocking. I can potentially sidestep or sidewalk to avoid having to engage with this mix-up. I have a multitude of options. Okay? So there's the thing. When you get past them first 2 layers, because this is how I like to think about it. When you get past them first 2 layers, now this is the important part. This is the concept that I think people do not understand when it comes to spacing. For me, there are 3 types of ranges, okay? There is effective range, there is optimal range, and there's maximum range. Okay? That's layer 3. Layer 3, because you've already understood your options for layers 1 and 2 and your opponent's options, because of those first 2 layers, the question that you need to ask yourself, and this applies to every fighting game, this legitimately applies to every fighting game. What are my opponent's 3 ranges? What are their 3 ranges? These 3 ranges, if you understand them in whatever game you play, will literally allow you to counter an opponent that does not have the knowledge of spacing that you do, because there are a lot of players that you can beat simply off of understanding the spacing of their character better than they do. So for Kazuya, right? What is Kazuya's optimal range? What is his optimal range? His optimal range is most likely somewhere around here, because he can do his hellsweep mix up. He can do the mid mix up afterwards. He can poke if need be. He can do small pokes. He can do all these different things, right? He can do all these things. He can do all this stuff to you. As soon as you get around here, you are around his maximum range. Because what move does he have to deal with you being around this range? Let's go to the move list. He can do this to you. He has this. This is his maximum range. This is realistically from a standing position. This is his maximum range. What happens? I can punish that. That is not a good move to just throw out. This is around his maximum range. Look at that. He's +5, but if I walk forward and get hit by this move, he's +5, but now he's pushed me very far away. This is far out of his maximum range. Correct? This is far away from his maximum range. So if I see that this is his maximum range, you saw that I just stepped that the wrong direction. You can step this too. You can step that too. But look, that the forward 3 right there just hit me. It just hit me. So we can think of that as his effective range. That's around his effective range. So let's do this. Let's do this, right? If we go over here, this is Kazuya's down back 4, right? How far does this hit? His down back 4 hits very far. Look at that. It hits about over here. So it hits a little less far than his forward 3. It has a little less range than his forward 3. So if I replace oh wait a minute, that's the wrong thing. If I replace the wait a minute, what? Oh, okay, I see what happened. If I replace the forward 3 with his forward 3, so if I go right here and I turn this on, let's see how far this hits. Look at that. His forward 3 hits all the way, like almost all the way over here. If he does the move, it hits almost all the way over here. Look at that. It barely whiffs against me. But the down back 4 has a little less range. It has a little less range, right? So let's break this down. So let's think about this logically. We now have understood that this area right here is around Kazuya's maximum range. This isn't his effective range, because what can he do to hit you from standing at this position? He can do forward 3. Who the hell cares about getting hit by a forward 3? I sure as hell don't. The move is minus 13. If you're punishing it, then he can't keep doing it to you, right? He can't keep doing it to you. If he does forward 3 and he keeps trying to do this move to you, he's at his maximum range. What does that mean, right? What does that mean? So we're at layer 3 where we're talking about the effective, the optimal, and the maximum range, right? That's layer 3. Layer 4, and this is the thing that I feel like most people do not understand, because this is actually what the purpose of spacing is if we're thinking about this logically. Layer 4 is the risk versus reward. That's the risk versus reward layer, because you now understand your opponent's optimal range, you understand their maximum range, and you now understand their effective range. The optimal range is simple. It's where they're most, it's where they want to be at, if possible, at all times. The effective range is where they're comfortable being at, but they would prefer to be in the optimal range. And the maximum range is the range where they really don't get anything if they manage to get a hit on you. That's where the risk versus reward comes in. If I'm right here and my opponent is playing Kazuya and he does a forward 3, that's at the end of his maximum range. He gets almost nothing off of it. The forward 3 means nothing, and the move is also punishable. The move is also punishable. So, for example, there's not really a character in Tekken besides like Kunimitsu, maybe Noctis. If somebody's pressing something, you're trying to whiff punish with the sword throw, the kunai throw. Those are really the only characters that can even have an attack that can punish you for being in such a long distance in this game, right? In this game specifically. That's the best that they're going to get, most likely. That is literally the best that they're possibly going to get, right? So, when you're fighting basically any other character in the game, you have to try and understand this is a concept, because this is a lot. I've had a lot of people ask me like, oh, how do you deal with Kazuya or like all these other characters, right? Think about this for a second. I know that, for example, if we're at a round start position, so if we're around here and I do a single backdash with Bob, the sweep is now going to miss me. That's how it works. The sweep is now going to miss me. The forward 3 can clip me, but that's when you get in the fuzzy ducking. But we don't need to talk about all that right now. This video is literally just about the space and fighting games, right? I know that his risk versus reward is in this range, his optimal range, his risk versus reward is very high. It's very high, as in he has options for multiple actually I shouldn't say it's very high. I should say it's very, as in it's very freeform. He can choose at this range to try and go for a high risk option such as a hellsweep. He can choose to go for a forward 3, which gives him a combo. He can choose to do down back 4 to get some plus frames easily, to be able to put me in a situation. He can even do forward 4, which is, it's a plus 4 on block mid that forces crouch that Heihachi and Kazuya share as a move, right? He can do all those options at this range. As soon as you get here, his entire the ability that he has to mess you over has changed dramatically. It's changed dramatically. Why? Because now we're in his effective range. He's fine being here, but he will prefer to not be here. That's literally just how it works. He's fine being here, but he would prefer to not be in this range, because this range is a problem for him, right? This range is a problem for him because from standing, now he might, and I'll get to like wavedash and that other stuff in a little bit, but from standing, Kazuya now has to make a decision on what he would want to do, poke wise. Down back 4 can hit me, but I'm also at a range where I can do another backdash, just one more backdash, and now he's at the end of his range. He's at his maximum range. But if I'm up here, this is optimal. One over here is around effective, and then one over here is maximum range because of forward 3, right? So you can break this down very simply. This is the range that you do not want to allow him to get into, right? This is the range where you can feel comfortable because he doesn't have access to his highest reward options. And this is the range where he is almost no threat to you if he continues to, you know, stay at this range. The threats that he can put onto you from standing in this situation is a it's a very negligible you know, threat to you as a player. Now, this is the thing that I see a lot of people do wrong when they're fighting Kazuya, right?
Iron Fist Tournament 7.
So let me pick Bob.
Kazuya Mishima.
We just want to go to the regular infinite
Get ready
or whatever.
for the next battle.
But this is, I'm gonna try and demonstrate how you can work this principle into Tekken specifically, and I'm probably gonna switch over to, I'm not the best Street Fighter player, but like, you know, my player 2 wavedash is ass. I haven't played on stick in a while. Okay. So, let me show you something, right? Do you see that? Did y'all see that? This is why you fuzzy. Did you see that? Look at that. Now, I know I got hit by the sweep or whatever, and I know it's kind of, you know, it's whack. Like the wave dash is whack. I'm not disputing that. I haven't played on stick in like a month on like, actually don't like 2 months on player 2. And I got a hit box about a month ago. But so what was I doing there? Let's play it again, right? Let's play it again. If I'm sitting here like this, right? Look at this. Think about the layers. Think about the layers that I was talking about with the risk versus reward. Think about the layers. Layer 1 is what are my options. Layer 2 is what are my opponent's options. Layer 3 is what are my opponent's ranges, right? Layer 4 is what is my opponent's risk versus reward in those ranges. What is layer 5? What is layer 5? Layer 5 is when you combine all the other layers and you go, okay, what are my options to prevent my opponent from making use of their ranges? So what can you do to stop a Mishima? You have multiple options. A Mishima player is dashing into you. You can back up. He can't run this mix-up for free. He can't run this mix-up for free. You have faster options to be able to prevent him from running this mix-up. Right? Your opponent wants to be within a specific range. Your opponent wants to be within a specific range. If you sit here in your opponent's face, right? How is he going to get into you like this? Look at that. I know it's a crappy backdash, but look at that. How is your opponent going to make use of their own spacing if you prevent them in this many ways from getting into their optimal range? A Mishima player wants to wave dash into you? Okay, that's hard to deal with, but that's when you learn how to fuzzy duck, so you have a better chance of blocking it because you can't react to it. But you don't need to react to it as long as you understand the space. If a Kazuya player is in my face like this, right? They most likely want to do something. They most likely want to do something. Look at that. They would not be able to enforce this mix-up because the sweep is a committal option, right? And again, this is theoretical. It's not 100% perfect. It's not going to save you, like, you know, every time. But it's like when they commit to their option, that option has startup. That option has a certain level of startup, right? So think about this for a second. I just showed like twice that I was getting hit by a sweep at tip range, correct? If you get hit with a sweep at tip range and they do the follow-up and it's actually a tip range, Kazuya cannot start his vortex. Why? Why can he not start the vortex? Because you got hit at tip, so you get flung even farther than you would otherwise. Now he has to either wave dash again. You know, he has to do like 3 of these or whatever to get there faster or what have you. Or he has to go for a different option. So like when I'm playing Bob, something I will do like often is go for something like this. Why? Because it's a lower commit option than doing this, right? And you know, it's plus enough to where I get some level of reward. It's a pretty good move. I get this on counter hit, and they really just have to deal with it, right? But my sweep, if I do like this, it has more range. But look, if I go like right here, look at that. He gets to get up for free. He gets to get up for free compared to what compared to what it was before, right? Look at this. If I want to sit here and do the sweep, he has way more time to get up and backdash if need be to avoid this situation happening in the first place. So because I manipulated his range, or my opponent, if I was playing against somebody right now, would have manipulated my range so that my sweep does not hit in the range that I needed to hit, we're playing a completely different game. Because at layer 5, now we're thinking about, okay, what can I do to prevent my opponent from taking action? What can I do to prevent them from taking action? Right? So then your opponent now has to think about how to deal with you manipulating their ranges. Because look, you can sit here and wave dash in somebody's face all you want. Like, you can do that all you like. Then you can revisit layer 4, which is the risk versus reward, I'm pretty sure. I should have probably wrote a script for this, but that's not right. But that's the risk versus reward, right? So now that my range is being manipulated, I have to make different decisions. That's one of the purposes of KBD, and that's why it's important that you learn how to fuzzy if you're trying to deal with missions, right? So my range is being manipulated, and therefore I have to approach my options differently, right? And they have the ability to move forward extremely quickly by wave dashing in your face, and that makes it way harder to deal with the mix-up. It admittedly does. But here's the thing. This move, the sweep, is anywhere from 16 to like 19 frame startup, or for Jen, I think his sweep is like 21, is like 20 frames maybe. This move requires me to commit for 19 frames when you can KBD in as little as 2. Like in a lot of cases, you can KBD in as little as 2. So you can literally backdash. I mean, if they're on hitbox, it'd be easier to KBD like perfectly, but that's not relevant. My point is, if you apply this to almost any character in the game, because this works for like any game, you just have to tailor these layers or whatever to your specific use cases. You just have to tailor the layers to your specific use cases. So layer 1 being, what are my options? You know, like spacing wise, what are my options? Layer 2 being, what are their options? Layer 3 being, what are their ranges? So what is their optimal range, effective range, and their maximum range? So you had that. Layer 4 is the risk versus reward of those ranges, and layer 5 is how do you counter them? How do you stop them from doing the stuff that they want to do in these ranges? So look, I'm going to say that there's one more layer, right? And this is the thing that this is probably the most important layer if you understand the rest of these layers. And this is what layer 6 is. What do they have to do? Now, that might sound crazy. Like, you might be going like, Phils, what the hell do you mean, what do they have to do? Let's think about this logically. We already discussed that at layer 3, I mean at range 3 or what have you, this is Kazuya's maximum range. He can't really get anything off you at his maximum range. So what does Kazuya have to do? He has to wave dash to get into your range. But if you KBD, his range is now manipulated. His range is getting manipulated by you simply moving around, and that's not even touching the 3D aspect of the game. I'm talking specifically 2D to simplify this, because sidestepping, that's a whole nother layer that's only present in 3D games. But it's like, you had to think about this for a second. If I'm at range 3, right? And I know that his maximum range, he's going to have to do forward 3 if he wants to, you know, try and get something from standing, which I can punish with forward 2-3 with Bob, because it's minus, you know, the forward 3 is minus 13 and Bob forward 2-3 is 12 frames, right? Now, what he has to do is, he has to wave dash into me. He has to. Why does he have to do that? Because he gets no reward otherwise. He has to. If he wants to mount a good offensive threat, he now has to come into me, you know, like come into my range, which is layer 1. That's why layer 1, that's why I say start. That's why layer 1 is the start for me. What are my options? Because layer 1 and layer 2 are directly linked to layer 6. You could literally say layer 1, layer 2, then jump straight to 6 in a lot of situations. And that will win you a lot of matches. But I'm saying the rest of those layers is literally just me trying, like, that's how I've come to think about fighting games in general, simply because there are things that your opponent must do to mount a good offense. They have to. With Kazuya, if you're at his maximum range, and this is the case in every game, if you're at a character's maximum range, there are things that they must do to be able to threaten you the way that they would like to threaten you, right? So let me switch to like Street Fighter 5 and try and like show this concept as best I can.